Welcome back. This is Alyssa of Revolt Hair Studio, and today we have Scott, who owns Drumworks, and we're doing our second segment for our locals that we love. So Scott and his family are longtime guests of us at the salon, so we appreciate that. But I thought we'd try and help and give back a little bit while we're all kind of hanging out at home. And I know that Scott's been doing some online lessons for all of his students and whatnot. So Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about Drumworks, how long you've had it for, all the good stuff.
All right, sounds good. It's Drumworks School of Music. I'm in Orfield, which is northwest of Allentown. And I just am coming up on my 11th anniversary. April 15th. Yeah, April 15th, it was 11 years that the building was finished, and then I actually started doing business in June. So June will be my 11th anniversary in business here.
Well, hopefully you'll have people in the studio on June 11th.
Yeah, how about that? So, we operate, I do drum lessons, and we do bass. I have a bass and guitar instructor also. Like you just sort of alluded to, it's been an interesting month because over the years I've thought a lot about offering Skype lessons and some kind of online instruction, and never really did it. And then all of a sudden,
here we are.
all of a sudden I had the perfect opportunity to work it all out and figure out an audio interface and all kinds of things that I wanted to do to make it really viable to do it well.
For sure. So would you say that there's room in your schedule to accept new students, maybe someone who's sitting around at home and has a bass or has a drum kit that they've, maybe gotten and haven't been able to use in a while, but they have all this time on their hands now?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been actually a very interesting turn of events with that because my current student load, I'm going at about 90% of what I would normally do. Because the kids that are, doing it, they have more time to practice than they normally would in school. So anybody, it's a great time to pick it up, and there's time.
That's awesome. Perfect.
The schedule. Yeah.
Yes. So how can people find you? Do you have a Facebook or Instagram?
All of it. Yeah. Drumworks School of Music. If you look for us on Facebook, Instagram, or if you Google Drumworks School of Music, you'll find your way to our website. All of those outlets.
Perfect. So how long have you personally been playing drums for?
45 years.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. 45 years I started. And I started at 8 years old. And the first few years, typical young kid kind of stuff. But around the age of 12 or 13, just, it kind of went off like a switch. And I was just obsessed. It's like all I could think about and all I wanted to do.
That's awesome.
Sense, yeah.
Now, do you have anyone who plays music in your family that kind of got you into drums at 8, or was that all on your own?
My dad was a drummer, and played out in bands and was pretty good. But it's kind of strange because he had stopped playing before I was born. My parents had a little bit later in life, and so my dad, I never heard my dad play. But I had newspaper clippings of pictures of him playing and all that. And and he kind of kept out of it. He didn't teach me to play. He took me to a teacher, and he didn't really offer much advice. He, offer encouragement, but he sort of stayed hands off about it. But yeah.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
But Gabriel, your son, plays drums also?
Yes, he does. He's been playing for about 8 years now.
Okay.
He's about 8 years. Yeah, and he's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does have a good teacher, so.
Yeah.
What age would you say is a good age for someone who is interested in starting to play? Is there like a sweet spot in there somewhere?
That's a very big question. The default answer typically is around 8 years old. Traditionally, that's about the age you would recommend. Having said that, I've seen kids that aren't ready at 10, and I've seen some rare instances where they are ready earlier than that. So, when somebody approaches Drumworks about lessons that young, I offer a consult where the family comes in and we meet the student and see if it looks like a good fit or the right time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, are you seeing with the kids who have been your students for a while now that they do have that more time, are you seeing them picking up the lessons more quickly or understanding, the music better or anything like that?
I think what it is, there is a little bit of a change in the last month with some of my students, and I think it's just the clarity and the time that you have to put into something, and less distraction creates a clarity with something like this, where you can really practice for a couple hours and just think about that. There's less distraction. So,
Okay.
that has been surfacing in these lessons. It's been interesting to see.
That's really cool. So you yourself have played in some bands also, is that
Oh
correct?
yeah. Yeah, I started playing out. My first paying gig, I was 13 years old, which is 40 years ago. And those first couple of years, I had several gigs. I was at a dinner theater. I played in a kid orchestra for a
Oh,
state.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I did that at 13 and did a couple of those shows in those years. But then when I was 16, I joined a band that played weddings and corporate parties and stuff like that. They were all adults. They were all in their 40s. And that just became my job. I had a weekend job,
Yeah.
and never really stopped. I've played at every level in between since that time, right up until now. This whole downtime with the COVID situation is the longest I've had off in 40 years from live playing.
Yes. I was just saying yesterday I did our first one with Chris, who his mom owns Misha Aesthetics, which I think
Oh, yeah.
Claire knows.
Yes,
Anyway,
yeah.
so I was talking with Chris yesterday, and we were both saying the same thing. Like, ever since we started working, which for me, I also, now it's not considered work, but I was 8 when I started working at a barn shoveling stalls so I could get riding lessons because I wanted a horse, which never ended up happening. But I still love horses. My daughter, who is 7, loves riding horses, so we've been riding up until this point together at a barn. So that's been really cool. But this is the longest pause I've ever had in my working career, that makes you a little crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially for someone like yourself, a business owner, you have to be wired to be in this mode to get it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, downtime is an unnatural feeling when you're a self-employed small business
Oh,
owner.
yeah.
It's not how we're wired. Um,
I think too, everyone's so different, and I think that's what's great about humans as a whole. But I think it's, the wiring, it's either there or it's not for certain things. So like, where maybe you and I are a little stir crazy because we don't have structure or a schedule or rigidity or responsibilities, someone else who's maybe not so used to that is totally enjoying this time off.
sure. Yeah, it's things look very different to different people based on their life and what's going on in it. It is an interesting time because I think everybody is suddenly cast into this scenario that obviously was completely unexpected,
For sure.
and just about every industry and every type of professional was faced with this need to suddenly reinvent the way you're going to do what you're going to do. That's never happened.
Yeah, in the history
It's
of
not
us.
I'm been around, so it's been interesting.
To say the least.
Yeah.
What would you say is your either proudest moment or favorite moment since you've been involved with drums?
Hmm. That's interesting. I've never actually never stopped to think about that. Probably there, some things come to mind. Um, Playing in Europe, getting the chance to go on, tour in Europe. That was certainly a moment where I looked at it and thought, "Wow, all right, this is fun. This is cool." Um, Had books published by Mel Bay, which that was a cool moment because as a kid coming up, I used a lot of I mean, I'm a bookworm with music. I still practice out of method books and use method books in my teaching, obviously. And Mel Bay was a prominent publisher of those books. So to get my books published by Mel Bay, that was a proud moment for sure.
That
And
is for sure a proud moment. That's like a
yeah,
big old pat back there.
yeah, yeah. So that stuff, and then having those books reviewed in the industry publications, Modern Drummer, and those magazines. A lot of things, like that.
That's special. I didn't know that
Yeah,
about you either. So, I mean, these are fun to like learn about other people that, you enjoy spending time with or friends with or do business with. So,
yeah,
I enjoy it.
yeah. It's funny things that never come up when I'm in for a haircut.
Well, now we'll have to talk about other things than what.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what is maybe 5 things that you want people to take home from this, whether it's about Scott, whether it's about Drumworks, or just music in general?
Hmm. 5 things. All right. Let's see. Well, I am here. I'm open for business. I'm offering lessons online right now, so you don't have to wait until
Whenever.
everything. Yeah, yeah. Until who knows what everything reopens. So lessons are available online. Um, Drums, bass, and guitar. Um, and one thing I think everybody should know, very specific about what I offer, what my service offers, is it's not only for kids, and you don't have to aspire to be a professional musician to enjoy studying an instrument. And I think that's a misconception sometimes. People think there's a certain paradigm in which this is something you do. But I've had over the years many students who first started when they retired from other careers.
Okay.
They all wanted to play the drums as kids, never got to do it. Started careers, got married, raised kids, and then finally, after getting out of a career at 60, had the time and the money to do it, and became great students. So you don't have to aspire to be a professional musician or study music at college or anything like that to be a great student and to pursue it for fun. People come to something like this with very personal reasons and goals. So that's all good.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. That's 2. I don't. I might have to get back to you on these other 3. I don't know. That's a lot. But yeah, it's fun. I think everybody should try it. Just try your hand at it. It's fun. You should try it. You should come here for
I've
lessons.
thought about it.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I really wanted to be in a band, and I did. I asked my mom if I could play drums, which of course they said no to. And then I asked if I could play bass. But that was like, they weren't into that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
think when I can get my hands on an instrument, I know where I'm going to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'd be great to have you. Yeah.
Wonderful. What schedule wise are you accepting new, I almost said patients, new students on any particular days, or it's just kind of where those openings are in your schedule?
Normally, the answer would be Mondays through Thursdays. I teach kind of all day Mondays through Thursdays is my personal schedule. Guitar and bass lessons are on a different schedule. Since in the last month, since it's been an all online format, there's been a little bit dust flying with the schedule. So it's kind of whenever people would like to do it. So online lessons are available pretty much any time, scheduled per a person's request and my availability. But once we are cleared to open back up and get back to 2 drum sets in one room and get our hands on things again, Mondays through Thursdays, pretty much all day, 9 to 9.
Okay. Now, do you do all sorts of percussion? Like, do you do bongos or anything like that, or just
A
drums?
little bit of hand percussion. I'm, not a professional quality conguero or hand drum player, but play certainly enough to get somebody started in that. My real specialty is drum set playing and snare drumming, whether it's rudimental or orchestral. But modern drum set styles and snare drum is the real bulk of my curriculum here.
Do you have a particular brand that you really enjoy or stand behind as far as kits are concerned?
As far as drum kits, or there's a few. The drums that I use the most are Gretsch and Tama. Having said that, I've got a pretty ridiculous amount of drums within 50 feet of where I'm sitting right now. So I've got things from a lot of manufacturers, and they're all great. But my go-to working drum sets are Gretsch and Tama.
Okay. Very cool.
And Zildjian cymbals, all Zildjian cymbals.
Yes. And you have Zildjian sticks also, right?
Vic Firth sticks.
Okay.
Yeah, Vic Firth. I'm on the Vic Firth education team, which is an international group of teachers that are a network through Vic Firth Drumsticks, which is the largest drumstick brand in the world. So yeah, I'm a Vic Firth artist.
There's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add and or share with us about Drumworks?
No, that's pretty much it. It's an open book, look us up. And if you Google, like I said, Google Drumworks School of Music, you'll find your way to everything, and on all the major social media. And
Perfect.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for taking your afternoon on, I guess this is a Saturday. I don't know what day it is anymore.
Yeah. The days have lost their feel. But yeah, it's Saturday. Thank you for having me. It's been a
Of
pleasure.
course. So we can't wait to see everyone back in studio, as I'm sure Drumworks is as well. And check them out, give them a whirl, and we'll see everyone soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thanks. See ya.
Yeah.